Baruch Hashem, Baruch Haba. Welcome to our final Hebrew 101 class here at Congregation Mashiach Yisrael. I'm Scott Siskin, and tonight, like I said, we're going to finish up our course. So what we have in store tonight, we got a little housekeeping to do. We're going to do a little bit of a review, not an exhaustive review because we want to kind of try to stay focused. We're then going to have our final exam. All of our viewers online, we'll be happy to send you a copy of the final exam should you need one, should you desire one. And then afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about Bible codes. Because as we learned from our final, in this order of this class here, that the final exam is really just the beginning to your own journey in Hebrew. We've said it in the beginning, and we've said it before, and I'll say it again now, but you're only going to get out of this course what you put into it. However, we've given you all the tools you need to be able to master Hebrew on your own. So as such, let's open with a word of prayer. Ribbona Shalom, Master of the universe, your word is awesome. Your language is awesome, and we feel privileged and excited to be able to learn your language with you. We ask you for your presence here today, that you should bless us in this night with your wisdom, understanding, and knowledge and your peace, in order that we should grow a more intimate connection with you and develop more closely with you to hasten the coming of your Mashiach. May he come speedily in our days. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'asok b'divrei Torah. B'shem Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us and betroths us with his commandments and calls us to engage in the study of his word, his Torah. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. Amen. So, like I said, a little housekeeping to start. Last week we covered suffixes. The week before that we did prefixes. When we covered suffixes, I left out a suffix, so I feel terrible about it, and I'd like to correct that error now. It is in your sheet, if you remember that big sheet that has the grid on it and all of the different columns. So it is on that sheet, but we'll cover it here really quick. So before, and we'll use the word here, regel has been going around. Regel means foot, okay? Sorry, caught here a little bit. Regel means foot. Okay? So if we have regel, which means foot, how would we, and this is part of our review, how would we say my foot? My foot. Ragli, right? So regel turns into ragli, okay? So ragli no longer means foot, it means my foot, okay? How would we say your foot? Speaking to a man. That would be, raglav would be his feet. So you had said this, raglav, which means his feet, plural. But what if you're trying to say your foot, singular? No, I said we'd start with the housekeeping, and here we are right in review. Your. That's his. If it was raglo, that would be his foot. Think Shema. If you want to think what the you is, God talks to us with the you in the Shema. He says,
Raglu is?
No, he says, you should love the Lord your God b'chol levavcha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol me'odecha, right? With all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So, levavcha, nafshecha, me'odecha, what's you? What's the suffix for you? Cha, exactly. Cha.
Yeah, cha.
Cha, exactly. So if we were to try to say your foot, speaking to a man, we would go raglecha. Okay? Raglecha. And remember, if you have two shavas, two silents next to each other, like Reb Betzalel said, the first one talks, the other one walks. Is that how it goes? No, the first one walks, and then the other one talks. You pause hard on this one, and you give a half syllable to the second one. However the saying's supposed to go. All right. So here's what we didn't cover.
First one does the walking, the second does the...
Walking, then talking. All right, there you go. So if we were to say my foot again, we're back here to ragli, right? If we want to say not my foot, but my feet, okay? then the letter that comes before the yud, instead of having a chirik vowel here, it gets changed to a patak, which is going to change the pronunciation of the word. Can you pronounce this word? Raglai. Raglai means not my foot, but my feet. Okay? Same thing if you were to say hand, right? Yad is hand. Yadi would be my hand. Yadai would be my hands. Okay? So that's what I forgot last week. Again, very, very sorry about that, but now you have it. So let's go on with a little bit more review. In our discussion, let's go right back to the beginning of the class. In first class, class 1, we covered the first 10 letters, Aleph through Yud, and we went through the sound of each letter, the sound each letter makes, its numerical value, which is going to be important for later tonight when we talk about Bible codes. We talked about the meaning of each letter. I'm not going to cover all that again. Baruch Hashem, it's archived for you to find it later. Then we talked about vowels, the different usage of vowels, where you're going to see them, how you pronounce them. And then we talked about root words. So if we remember, roots, God created the entire universe with 10 utterances, 10 holy utterances, right? God spoke. In Hebrew, he said, Yehi or, let there be light. Yehi rakia, let there be a firmament, etc., etc. And it's through these letters that all of creation came to be. So the letters themselves, these 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, represent an energy force, if you will, of God, which he uses to create. Kind of like a chemical formula is for us. H2O gets you water, right? So mem yud mem. Oops, that was a bad one. Mem yud mem equals water, right? Same kind of a thing. And that's because of the properties of the energy that's associated with the mem in the yud in that order. As such, we talked about root words. Hebrew is a root language. Each root is made up of 2 to 4 letters, 2 to 4 Hebrew letters. And that formula of letters is going to create a concept, right? A spiritual energy or a concept. So by looking at the letters, after you know the meaning of the letters, you can actually determine why that should be that way. And this is very interesting because back in the day, when Adam named all the animals, how was Adam able to name all the animals? He was very closely connected with God because he had never sinned yet, right? So as such, he was able to see divinity within physicality, something we can't do today because we're marred with sin. As such, Adam saw the horse there, and he's like, oh, look at the spiritual energy coming off of this thing. It's a samek, an avav, and a samek. This must be a sus, right? He looked at the ox. He says, this must be shor. He looked at the cat, and he said, this must be chatul, right? And he looked at all the different creatures, and he was able to see the spiritual energy within them, again, because Adam at that point had not yet sinned. So as such, we can kind of determine that as well. We talked about dog before, right? Dog before, yep, dog is chalev. So what's the energy associated with the chaf? It's a line on top and a line on the bottom and a connection between, right? So it represents someone on top, someone on the bottom. So it's like God on top and us on the bottom, or us on top and the dog on the bottom. Lamed represents spiritual energy coming down into the world and then circulating around the world. It's the image of teaching energy, right? A dog is very trainable. And the bait, of course, represents a house. The dog is an animal that can be with you in the house, right? It's an animal closely associated with humanity, right? So we can actually see why a chalev is a chalev, right? Why a dog is a dog based on the Hebrew letters. Do you want to try another one real quick? How about, let's try a small word. How about father? What's father in Hebrew? Av, right? Aleph and bait. Like it says in the oral law, with 2 stones, 2 buildings were made, right? 2 stones, each stone referring to a Hebrew letter. So if you have Aleph then bait, it's Av, which is father. If you have bait then Aleph, it's bo, which means come, right? 2 stones, 2 houses, 2 words. Anyways, if we're just working with father, with Av, what's the spiritual representation of the Aleph? Represents God, right? The one God. It represents God's wisdom through the Torah, right? This is God, this is you, and this is the Torah. So God, the Aleph represents this seed-level energy, right? How God can be represented in this physical world through his word, through the Torah. Beit, of course, represents a house, right? So if you just look at this without even knowing that it says Father, and you say, oh, look, seed level energy of the house, right? That's a father. See how it kind of works out like that? And there are many, many other examples. So after we talked about roots, let's see here. After we talked about roots, we talked about modifying those roots in such a way that they can make sense throughout a sentence structure and the syntax and all that good stuff. So we had said, when we were talking about prefixes, right, we have various different words. Let's use shalom here. Oops. Shalom. If we were to put a lamed in front of this word, right? Lishalom, that means to, if shalom means peace, right? Then this is going to mean to peace, right? We covered that and other things. We talked as well, I believe, if we don't have a shava vowel here, but we turn it into a patach instead, an ah sound, as opposed to a silent. La shalom means to the peace, right? And the ha is included in that word. Let's try one more of the prefixes. I don't want to cover all of them, but I just want to give you a little refresher here. What about the bait in the beginning? What's a bait mean?
In.
It means in. Bait is a preposition in the beginning of the word. So in, on, by, exactly, anything like that. So b'shalom would be in peace, right? We should always bless each other, b'shalom, right? In peace, that you should leave and come in peace. Again, same thing with the shava. If we were to take off that silent vowel and add a patach, an ah sound, this no longer is in peace, but in the peace. Right, perfect. Okay. Again, refer to your workbooks, and you can find the entire list there, everything that we covered. In that little chart. Suffixes. We talked about lots of different suffixes. We covered a few tonight, so we don't have to go over those. How do you make a word plural in Hebrew? Let's say you have a word, a masculine word like ben. Ben means son. Okay? It's a little bit crazy on my long nun here. Sorry about that. Ben means son. How would I make that plural? Im. I'm going to need the masculine for because ben is a masculine word. So this would be banim. Right. Banim would be not son, but sons, right? If we wanted to say not sons, but his son, how do we do that? Go to the chart. That's exactly right. Baruch Hashem, we have materials.
His son, singular.
His son, singular. What's the suffix to make his at the end? And remember, you don't need to know the answer to every question. You just need to know where to find it. Though it helps if you know everything too, but baby steps, right?
It's really complicated chart. Finding the reason is the tough part. What was the question?
His.
Suffix for his singular.
We're looking for his singular son.
His son.
What about thinking about verses, Bible verses that you know? For example, we say Shema Yisrael, right? What's the Baruch Shem verse for that? We say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, right? Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom. Malchuto, his kingdom. Therefore, if you want his son, Beno, right? His son. So now that you're feeling comfortable, let's make it harder. What about his sons, plural? So you're saying like B'nai? B'nai would be sons of. Sons of. So if we want to make his sons plural, we add a yud, right? The yud makes it plural. And we go like that, because the vav at the end makes his, right? So now this is banav. You pronounce this banav, his sons plural, right? Back to our example with the feet. If you like the feet, Raglav would be his feet, plural, right? Or if we were doing the singular about me, like we said earlier, Raglai would be my feet, plural, right? His feet, my feet. Okay? Let's see. We talked about the 4 letters that you can put in front of a word to make it future tense. Do you remember what those 4 letters are? Mm-hmm. What are they? What's the word? There's 2 words that we gave you to remember them.
Eshma.
Oh, that's an example. That's one of them. Aleph is one of them. So the word that we gave you, if you remember, we gave you 2. Eitan,
Tanya.
which is strength, or Tanya, if you rearrange it, which of course we all know the book of Tanya, or we should. So these are the 4 letters that are going to make a word future, take it into the future. And we use the word Shema, right? So if we have Shema, it means hear. Eshma, I will hear, right? Tishma, you will hear. Nishma, we will hear. And then finally, what was the last one? Yishma, right? What does Yishma mean?
Just will hear, no subject.
Just will hear, no subject, right? So, I'm not sure if we covered it. I kind of think that we did. If we didn't, here we are. What happens if we put, let's do this first. Not sure if our vowels are right here, but bear with us. If you could pronounce that, it says Shma'u, right? Shema means hear. If you have a u at the end of your word, it changes it to the imperative form, right? So now it's a command. I'm telling you, you should hear, right? Shma'u, you should hear. So how do I say, they will hear? They will hear. Did we cover that? If not, like I said, here we are. So we know that Nishma is we will hear, Eshma I will hear, Tishma you will hear. We are going to have to use the 4th one, which is just Yishma, right? But Yishmahem is a very good guess. It's a very good guess.
No.
That's like we'll hear them, is kind of what that's like. So if we just use that same u that we used from before, we have Yishma'u. This now means they will hear. Okay? We understand the way that it works? With a yud in the beginning, it turns it into will hear. With a u at the end, in this form, it's they.
They will hear.
Okay?
So the u at the end is they.
U in the end is they, if it's accompanied with the yud in the beginning. And a couple other modifiers as well, but let's not get you too confused. Not bad. So, Yishma'u, they will hear. Okay? How about the word praise? Praise is Hallel, right?
Hallelujah.
Hallelu means you should praise now, right? What about Yehalelu? Now it's no longer, I'm telling you to praise. Now it's they will praise. Perfect. Perfect. Okay?
So it's a yud, but it's not necessarily yud with the hirik. It's a yud with the
Right. It's just a yud.
yud.
Just a yud. Doesn't have
The u on the other end of the
with the u on the other end, right? That turns it into they will, whatever your root says. All right? Yahalalu, right? Yahalalu, because that's going to be a strong, it's just the way the word flows.
Don't often see that word that way, though.
Yahalalu?
Yeah, hallelujah.
Yahalalu? I guess you don't see it all the time, but it's on your test tonight, so surprise, Look at that and write it down, okay? There's your first gimme. Here's your first hint. What if I were to do this? Now I'm really helping you out. Can you read that one on the bottom there?
That's
Yahal Lucha.
Yahalalucha. Yahalalucha. So, they,
Lucha.
right, they will praise you, right? Right? So we can have lots going on a single root. And remember, you can have a whole bunch of prefixes and suffixes on the same root and still have it be one word. Not a problem. I think the biggest word I found in the Siddur was b'mishmerotehem, right? Which means in their positions.
do not erase.
Do not erase.
Okay, thank you. So they, yeah,
Right? They
Who
will praise you.
you.
Right. We good?
Well, the cha is a masculine possessive.
Cha at the end means you, speaking to a man or a group.
Okay.
Or not a group, but an entity who you don't know the gender of.
Okay.
Mixed crowd is what you-
Yeah, but if you're doing a mixed crowd, then it's going to be plural often, so you'll change it. What else did I want to cover before we began? I suppose that's pretty good. So. It's helpful, you know, and I like to, like I said, just pick a word, and I just go down the line in my head, you know. So like, Av is father. We've been working with this tonight, right? So if I want my father, it's Avi, right? If it's his father, it's Avo. If it's my father's, it's Avai, right? If it's hers, it's Aveha, right? Her father's.
Possessive is Avim.
Avim would be plural. Actually, it's avot, but that goes against the way that it should be, but that was your hint.
Right, that's the exception.
Avcha, your father's. Avecha, or Avcha, your father. Avecha, your fathers, right? And that would be Avcha, your father. Avecha, your fathers, and that yud is going to signal that it's plural. And that's what I do. I just kind of go through, pick a word, and go all the way down the line and be like, okay, this is that for that. So practice, practice, practice. Any questions about anything we've studied or learned throughout the entire course up to this point? Speak now or forever hold your peace. So let's begin our final. The way that this class is going to work is that, like I said, we're going to do a little bit of a review. We're going to take the final now. I'll take it with you guys so that you feel comfortable, hopefully. After the final, we're going to jump back on the board and we're going to talk about Bible codes. Bible codes are a fascinating subject, and that comes to teach us, based on the order of this class, that, like I said earlier, the final is really just the beginning, right? We've given you all the tools and we've given you all kinds of resources, and this should help you to be able to learn Hebrew better throughout the course of your life. So the idea is we've given you everything that you need. You're going to need to use it if you're going to want to learn it, right? So the final is really just the beginning. And to keep you excited about learning more in Hebrew, we'll talk Bible codes after the test. So, how the test is going to work, and I want to get this on film here. So, how the test is going to work? The test is Psalm 145, otherwise known as the Ashrei. So, you'll each get one of these little packets. It's only a couple of pages because I wanted to give you lots of space to write. Oh, you didn't bring a Bible? Now you don't have the translation. So you'll have to translate this yourself. This is going to be the final, okay? So you're just going to go through the text here. First word here is tehillah. Tehillah means praise, right? So you're going to write underneath that praise. To assist you, because I said from the beginning that we weren't going to spend a lot of time on vocab, we've provided a word bank at the end. And we can have this zoom in, I guess, or whatever needs to be done. It should be readable. If not, you are more than welcome to ask questions on this page. This word bank actually has 2 pages on it. And I would have to apologize again because at the very top it says that Tehillah word that I just said, but it says prayer instead of praise, so I guess I was having a bad day. I apologize about that. So any questions that you have while you're taking the test on this gray handout, please feel free to ask. I want to make sure that you know the roots. Any questions on this you got to do by yourself, all right? So you'll have the word bank, and it'll say Tehillah, praise, so you're going to write praise there, right? And if it's got Le David here, right? David is a man, David was a man. Le David means to or for David, right? So you're underneath this, you're going to write to or for David, and then you're going to continue. Again, we've given you all of the tools that you should need for this. If there's any questions, be sure to let me know. But I think that you have what you need. So we're going to go ahead and pass these out. May God be with you all.